Welcome to Just Roll With It. I'm Rick Kopus and I'm your host. Hey, I'm starting this channel about a lot of different things that I'm interested in, and hopefully you'll be interested in it too. I thought about maybe making many different channels about different topics to create that perfect theme, so my channel had, just this is, you could tune into this and this is what you're going to get. And I had so much trouble. I have ADHD and it's hard for me to focus on just one thing, and so I didn't get started, and I thought, no, that's probably not a good idea. Every time I try to put the art out of my life, I end up in therapy. So let's try to keep me out of therapy and let's just move forward. What do you say? So a lot of things that I'm interested in, and you're going to find this crazy, but I'm into music. As you can see, I've got a music production right here, and I got a nice little studio in here. I like music production. I like writing and singing. I'm a singer and a songwriter. I've been a performer. I've performed all over the country doing Christian music and different kinds of music, classic rock and whatnot. Music video production. I've done music videos in the past. I've done lots of different production work for different companies off and on through the years. Filmmaking. I love to be a filmmaker. I've done a couple of short films, and I really enjoy doing that. I started off my career when I was just in high school. I told a teacher that I wanted to be in motion picture and film and stuff, and so she got me a job at a local TV station where I started out in news, and that really ties to history. I'm really interested in history and news. They kind of go together, and so I'm really interested in that stuff. I had to get a job as a young man because art, music, all that stuff didn't make money. So I got into construction, and I worked construction for 28 years as a carpenter and contractor and different stuff. So I'm really interested in woodworking and architecture and all of that kind of stuff. But as a young man, I had a lot of trouble growing up. But I found God somewhere in my 30s, and so I'm really interested in spirituality, church, and ministry. I really love to talk about those kinds of things, try to relate, all of this in some sort of a spiritual way. It's uplifting and trying to build things up. My oldest daughter is disabled, so I really like to talk about disability issues sometimes, and at times I want to I'll talk about those kinds of things because, it's a difficult world. And so some of that might be a little difficult, but, it's something I'm interested in. Sports and action lifestyle. I know I don't look like it, but, I really do love sports. I'm a black belt in karate. I love martial arts, MMA. I love to play golf. I love to cycle on my bicycle, and I love to take my daughter in her wheelchair bike. There may be some films about that. I love technology and science. The idea of Elon Musk privately going to Mars is just super interesting to me, and I like those kinds of things. I'm not a scientist, I'm not that smart, but I still think it's really fun. I love technology. I'd really like to build up my local community. One of the things about my faith and about the transition from being a real run-amok kind of human being to someone who cares about our community, I want to be a light in the darkness. I want to help build up my community. I want to talk about those things that build up, not tear down. The plan for this channel is to create content that'll be uplifting, that'll promote love and peace and joy, and not just be clickbait. I don't, even in the news and different kinds of things, I really don't want to be in an argument as much as I want to be in a solution of some kind. The only way we're going to help our communities be strong is we stand together, and so that's how I would like to make this channel work a little better. So I'm just going to roll with it, and you know what? Let's just get started on our first episode, which we're coming up on Thanksgiving. So let's do Thanksgiving. Wow, my first episode's Thanksgiving. I heard on the news the other day that, the price of food is up so high. Some people are not going to celebrate Thanksgiving, because they just can't afford the turkey. And I was giving my daughter a ride to church youth group the other night, and her friend were talking, and I said, "Hey, you guys ready for Thanksgiving?" And her friend said, "No, I don't really like Thanksgiving." And I said, "Really? Why?" She said, "Well, I don't like the food, and I'm not interested in football, and yada, yada, yada." And I started thinking, what do people think Thanksgiving is? And I know that for the last few years, with COVID lockdowns, it's been don't get together for Thanksgiving, could spread the disease. Don't get together because of this. And I had to stop for a second and think. Thanksgiving. Why is it called Thanksgiving? Well, some want to think of the holiday between Halloween and Christmas. It's just some arbitrary time to get together, eat, and watch football. That seems to be the popular current, idea of what Thanksgiving is. It's a time to take a break from school, some holiday, and we go back to the beginning, and even that lately has been controversial. The Pilgrims came to Plymouth and they settled in and they met Squanto and they cooperated together. Some people think that was a myth. Well, no, there's plenty of writing in the Pilgrims' manuscripts that have been collected that no, they really did get together. They landed, and for the first year they had to live on the ship, and they ferried to and from the land because they didn't have any place to live. And they landed right at the beginning of winter. If you've ever been off the coast of Cape Cod or any of those places where they landed, it's freaking cold and nasty. They lost 50% of the people that were with them. They died. It was no joke. Luckily, they ran into an Indian, a Native American, who had been captured and probably thrown into slavery for a time. Taken to England, he learned to speak English. It was the time of slavery, and there was no race that was involved in slavery. Everybody practiced slavery. My family was enslaved during that time. We were indentured servants or slaves in England. We were serfs. We owned nothing. We worked for the king. And that's the way life was. It's not pretty. It's not to be judged by our 21st century lives. But back then, that happened. Squanto escaped, got all the way back to his home in Northeast America, then just the New World. So Squanto sees these people having trouble trying to make a way for themselves and cooperates, interprets the native tongues of the tribes that were around there, and helped them communicate, taught them how to farm this land that they were in, and made a go of it. And after a year, coming around to the harvest, the summer, seeing the fruits of their labor, seeing that there might be light at the end of this trying time, they got together to celebrate. Thanksgiving. They gave thanks to the Creator for giving them a life, bounty, and friendships and community. They're human beings. Even the Puritans didn't get along with each other all that well. It wasn't some fantasy, great Christian movement. They were seeking asylum from the oppressed way that Europe and England were doing to Christians who weren't following the king. And so there was strife there, even amongst themselves. The natives didn't like Squanto talking to them. It was strife between the natives. It was a tough time, but they stopped and they gave thanks. However they chose to believe, it didn't matter. They took the day and they broke bread. They had whatever food they had. Wasn't turkey, wasn't mashed potatoes. It was whatever they had. And they gave thanks for each other, for their Creator. And this is a wonderful thing. My God created heaven and earth. And it didn't matter whether you believed or not, it doesn't change the creation. Whether you believe the earth is alive because of my God, or it's alive because it's God. It's alive. And it gives us bounty, our food, our shelter, our life. So give thanks. Get together with your family, whether you can afford it or not. Give thanks for their lives today. Give thanks for the food that you do have. Put your stuff together. Say hi to your neighbor. Get to know them a little better. We've been closed in, and I know that for me, I really used to know my neighbors. And I can say today that I don't know my neighbors as well as I thought I did. People have moved in and moved out since this isolation in California has taken place. And so it's different. So Thanksgiving, go out and say hi to your neighbor. Give thanks that they're in your neighborhood. Be kind. Love each other. And give praise because we have one more day. Happy Thanksgiving. And if you like what you're seeing, please like and share and hit that little bell. Subscribe to my channel. It's brand new. I'm going to try to put a video out every week. So please keep coming back.